It's deja vu for the Congress in Rajasthan. The Ashok Gehlot versus Sachin Pilot saga is back to haunt the party, with the Rajasthan Chief Minister unequivocally calling Sachin Pilot a gaddar and a person who is scheming with the BJP. Now, the timing of Gehlot's outcry is important. It came even as Pilot was seen posting his pictures with Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi at the Bharat Jodo Yatra in Madhya Pradesh. Now, Mr. Gehlot may have felt that Pilot was yet again being considered by the Gandhis as his replacement in Rajasthan come 2023, and hence he lashed out. Now, this could have been the case. I'm joined by Sukumar Ranganathan, the paper's editor-in-chief, and I'm going to ask him what he makes of Gehlot's recent outburst against Pilot. This time he called him a gaddar who can never be made chief minister.
It's not surprising. It's not even interesting. I know it's news, but this has been Mr. Gehlot's consistent approach over this entire period. And I don't think the two gentlemen in question have any sort of relationship. It is a hugely antagonistic relationship. And I think you need to see this from two dynamics which go beyond the obvious. The first one is altering power equations in the Congress.
Right.
Because there was a time when the central leadership's writ ran large. But I don't think that is the case now.
Okay, that is interesting.
So you have regional leaders like Mr. Gehlot,
True, yeah,
who can flex their muscles, and flex their muscles far more significantly. Flex it either in a antagonistic manner, because in some ways he's also taken on the central leadership, but also flex it firmly but in a not so antagonistic manner, as Mr. Baghel did in Chhattisgarh, where again there was a similar question of Mr. Baghel being replaced by Mr. Singhdeo. There was talk, and our reporting showed that there was complete truth in this talk, that there was an agreement which was struck, oral agreement struck in the presence of the Congress leadership between Mr. Baghel and Mr. Singhdeo on power sharing. But at the end of the day, Mr. Baghel was the chief minister, important to the Congress in so many ways, ruling just two states. One is Chhattisgarh, the other one is Rajasthan.
Correct.
So one of the issues that I see is a larger dynamic of this. The second one is a question of the politics of Rajasthan itself. And it's a state that goes to the election next
in a
year.
year's time, yeah.
A state which, like many other states in this country, alternates governments. So if it's the Congress, it's the BJP, and so on.
Yeah.
One doesn't know what will happen in 2023, but it's quite likely that the BJP, like it always does in every election, really puts up a formidable fight. And it could well be that the BJP comes to power. So it's not as if Mr. Gehlot's future after next year is
secure.
Is certain or secure as Chief Minister of Rajasthan, because the Congress could lose. So it's interesting from that perspective also. I mean, does this change what is going to happen in the state in any way? If the Congress changes its leader, does it mean its chances will improve? So those are the kind of dynamics that are now emerging. The antipathy between the two men, fairly well known. The terms that Mr. Gehlot has been using for Mr. Pilot, not new. I think he used the very same term sometime back also.
He called him Nakara Nikamma the last time.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
So, and the Congress's reaction again, interesting, because if you look at their reaction, the Congress's reaction yesterday was, we should focus on the yatra.
Correct.
We should not really worry about this at this point in time.
And it will solve itself.
Mr. Gehlot is a senior leader and everything else. Very carefully, we don't want to offend Mr. Gehlot. At the same time, we don't want to hurt Mr. Pilot. And this is my phrasing, but I think it's important to note this. Offend Mr. Gehlot, hurt Mr. Pilot, which means clearly acknowledging in its own way that Gehlot is in a slightly more dominant position than Pilot is. So it's interesting to watch that byplay. Nothing new, like I said, but
Well, you've been saying nothing new, and you've said it often enough. The Rajasthan Congress pot has been simmering, boiling
From the beginning, since they won the election.
since 2018, right? And this is probably the season three. As some I was reading one of our co-journalists in another organization pointed out. This is season three of the Game of Thrones in Rajasthan since 2018, and it does amount to that. What is
No,
there are two ways to resolve
no,
claims.
let me just interrupt you. It's interesting that you're talking in terms of seasons. It may be, but this is an interesting story where the climax actually came halfway. Because
Yeah.
the climax, which eventually ended up being an anticlimax, was this big defection thing,
Yeah.
which didn't really result in the party splitting or a change in power or another force coming to power in the state. And I think that completely changed the equation.
Right. Many people are already talking about a Punjab rerun in Rajasthan. And that's primarily because there are two ways to handle a situation, right? Get in there, do something, and solve the situation, which can go either way, and just stand by and do nothing, which has really been the manner in which the Congress High Command has been handling the antipathy between these two individuals.
With one very big difference. I think Mr. Gehlot is still the Congress's biggest leader in the state. I think he definitely has far more of popular support, not just among the legislators, which is evident, but also among the general public than Mr. Pilot does. So slightly more different than, let's say, the situation in Punjab or anyone.
No, but it was Captain and Navjot.
No, Captain and Sidhu and Chani and everything else. And I think between the three of them, if you were to look at mass appeal, as a Congress chief ministerial candidate, I think the captain would have still had more of a mass appeal than any of the other two.
Than the other two. But do you see a rerun happening there? Because there's one whole year to election, and they say even 1 day or 1 hour is a long time in politics. In one whole year, how do you see this playing out? In the next 1 year. And again, maybe I'm asking you to be clairvoyant, and I don't want you to do that, but yeah.
You don't need
you have an idea.
You don't need clairvoyance. You just need to have knowledge of how the Congress deals with such issues. They let it fester.
Yes.
So they will, my own sense is they will continue to let it fester.
Till about 20 days before the election. Which is what they did in Punjab, right?
In Punjab, they let it fester for some time, but then they made all the wrong calls. And sure, I know people can say that it's easy for you to say this in hindsight, but even at the time, it was fairly evident that it was a wrong call, because in many aspects, till a year and a half back, Punjab looked like an election for the Congress to lose.
Right.
It didn't look as if it was an election where anyone would win. And then suddenly you get rid of the captain. Sidhu wants to be chief minister. You don't make him chief minister. You bring in another person, and you create this mishmash. The captain leaves, joins hands with the BJP. He flops. The Congress flops. AAP roars to power. So it's very, very interesting what happened in Punjab, but even in Punjab, they let this whole matter fester for a long time, right? I mean, you know that there are two people who have significant problems with each other. You have to solve it. This is a classic organizational problems. And different organizations solve it in different ways.
They did try to solve it in a while ago by trying to get Gehlot to become the party leader, so to speak, and get him to Delhi.
It flopped.
It flopped, and it flopped badly. But what gives? Why yes, Gehlot wants to sort of retain his control over a state where he's been now 3 times successively, not successively, but 3 times chief minister. But what gives with Pilot? When 2018 happened, the 2018 election results rolled in. There was a lot of murmur that this guy is actually the de facto uncrowned prince because he did a lot of work on the ground.
There is no denying a few facts. The first one was that the Congress really fought the 2018 election well. Sachin Pilot was the party chief in the state at that point in time. And as party chief, some amount of the credit should go to you, right? And And I think he did get that amount of credit. It's not as if someone tried to steal it from him. I think he himself also made sure of that, but he got that amount of credit, and which is understandable. But the third fact, and I've said this before, but I will say it again, is that Mr. Gehlot was the bigger leader then, is also the bigger leader now. And I don't mean bigger in terms of seniority. I also mean bigger in terms of mass appeal. I think those facts don't change. But if your question is really what does Sachin Pilot do now? I mean, it's tough. It's really tough because
Because there have been this flood of people
No,
leaving the Congress and going to the BJP. He maybe wanted to, did not want to, could not muster the MLAs, but he could not engineer that entire
the
situation.
opposition space in Rajasthan right now is fairly crowded. Right? I mean, it's not as if the BJP doesn't have a leader.
True.
They have more than one,
Yeah,
right? And there's a little bit of jockeying happening there also. But our discussion is not about that. So will the BJP welcome him? Again, we don't need to be a clairvoyant to give an answer to this. The answer is yes. And the answer is yes simply because the BJP is a party that believes in also the inorganic method of growing. So they will be quite happy to take him in. But does it mean it is going to result in him becoming Chief Minister of Rajasthan after the next election? Chances are very slim. But it could well be that he gets a position in the center if this happens. But I don't think he's ever indicated a proclivity to join the BJP.
Correct.
His best chance to join the BJP really was during the rebellion. He didn't. He went back, presumably on the basis of certain assurances that were given to him. But it's interesting to note that here is a party which gives assurances, but is not able to close them. Is not able to deliver on them.
Let's just talk about this for a minute here. Let's talk about the Congress High Command, really the Gandhis. You say that now the regional leaders are flexing their muscles and they don't have that kind of a hold over the party anymore after the string of defeats and the manner of defeats. But explain to me this. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2018 onwards, since this problem between these two has been there, you could have nipped this problem in the bud. What explains the seeming paralysis within the party? Is it, as many people have pointed out, the difference of opinion between how a Sonia Gandhi would lead the party or who she would choose versus how a Rahul Gandhi would lead the party and who he would choose? What's going on?
There are two ways to answer your question. One is at a generic level. The other one is at a specific level. The generic level, I'm going to answer it at the level of human nature, right? And most people don't like problems.
Yeah.
And you and I also don't like problems. We believe that we can close our eyes and they will go away. They will magically go away after some point. And I think this is something that actually separates good leadership from poor leadership.
Yeah, I don't see BJP ever closing its eyes to a problem.
Because good leadership will tackle the problem head on and tackle it on the basis of what is the end game. The end game has to be the interest of the party, right? And that is the basis on which this has to be solved. So if the Congress felt that Mr. Gehlot was best equipped to give it a fighting chance in 2023, they should have told Sachin Pilot as such and told him, we will find something else for you, but
let this be,
nip it in the bud.
Right.
But I don't think, and you can say that is politics and no one speaks straight in politics, but I just think that good leadership is the same across domains. So I think this is just poor leadership.
Okay, so that's
and it is a matter of history or fact that for extended periods over the last 5 years, the party has been, there has been leadership, but it's been pretty hands off, not really there.
Not really there, now, there is at least another man at the helm as the leader of the party. But you still think even he is, of course, dyed in the same wool, and of course, the real orders are
We have
being
not
taken
heard.
from
We
the
have not
guardians.
heard much from him.
Mhm.
We've not seen much from him even in these campaigns.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we don't see him campaigning aggressively in Gujarat.
Anyway, yeah.
So I really
So a
don't
rubber
know.
stamp, really,
No,
which many
no,
people have.
I would not use terms because I don't think anyone is a rubber stamp. So I think that is an inaccurate description of anyone, not
Okay.
just Mr.
Fair
Karge.
enough.
But I just think whether how good a leader you are actually comes out during crisis like this. So, and especially if you've just taken charge
Then
as the
you
president
should.
and you're facing this, you have to put yourself out and solve it.
Or at
Because-
least seem to be solving.
No, and solve it because you have the position, and with the position gives you authority. You will have to do it. And then if people don't listen to you, you have to get rid of them.
Right.
Now, tough calls, but that is a measure of true leadership.
Action versus inaction, really.
Correct.
Let me just sort of just move away. And while all this is happening, there is also the Bharat Jodo Yatra happening, and there is also Mr. Rahul Gandhi marching with, and a lot of his supporters, of course, accompanying him. People going up there for photo ops, including Mr. Sachin Pilot. I think the yatra is going to enter Rajasthan in a few weeks' time. How do you see what, he's, of course, the Bharat Jodo Yatra is Mr. Gandhi's way of being seen, heard, bringing the Congress back really in the reckoning as far as 2024 is concerned. But things like this, how do they impact, or how will it impact? It's not a generic question, but how will this impact the entire effort to make Congress seem more of a, giving Congress a fighting chance come 2024, because these optics are bad?
I don't know. Tough to say. The only thing I can say about the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which seems to have been fairly well organized and which seems to be getting some level of response, is that Mr. Gandhi seems very comfortable in doing what he's doing. It's definitely refurbished his brand image. And whether or not it's improved the Congress chances is hard to say, but I think it would be a safe guess to say that it has shown the party's faithful that he's there.
And that somebody
Right.
is willing to do
No, no.
something about
And
something.
so at least the faithful may stick to the party, which is not something that has happened. It's a party that has consistently lost vote share. We've discussed this on this very platform.
Sure.
Last Lok Sabha election, they ended at just below 20, just around 20%. If it dips below that, it's going to be pretty dangerous for them. I have a feeling this will help them, may help them. Not will is too strong a word to keep this together. But I don't think this is a party regeneration effort or anything else. They themselves have said that there are no electoral objectives, and nor do I think electoral objectives can be met with this kind of an exercise. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in Rajasthan when the rally enters Rajasthan.
Yes, and I think
how enthusiastic a participant will Mr. Gehlot be?
Right, and given the fact that Pilot actually went to Madhya Pradesh to attend the yatra, so probably he's thinking that he may not be allowed to sort of be seen there.
No.
It's just
yeah, there are lots of imponderables.
Yes, lots of improbables, but yes, it will be interesting to see what happens when the Bharat Jodo Yatra enters Rajasthan in a few weeks from now. Stay tuned to this place. We will keep coming back to you with more. Thank you, Sukumar, for that time, and thank you, viewers, for watching this broadcast.